I need some change. I can't believe it. I need some change that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some change that's real. I need some peace. Don't want to kill it. I need some peace that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some peace that's real. I need some power to build my future. I need some power that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some power that's real. I need some hope to keep me going. I need some hope that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some hope that's real. I need some justice. I'm tired of waiting. I need some justice that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some justice that's real. I need some hope that's real.
I need some power that's real.
I need some peace that's real. I need some change that's real.
Wow. Thank you, Kaleidoscope, with guest drummer this morning, Ken Shellhays, for inspiring change. Very cool. Well, good morning. Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church West on this sunny August Sunday morning here in Brookfield, Wisconsin, where we are three sibling UU congregations gathered here to celebrate and worship. It is good to be together. As we begin, we pause to acknowledge that this place we occupy is the traditional territory inhabited at various times by the native peoples of the 7 Council Fires, Ho-Chunk, Kickapoo, Potawatomi, Menominee, Peoria, and Miami nations. We also acknowledge our need to address racism, which continues to lead to the violent deaths and oppression of Jews, Black, and Indigenous peoples, and other people of color. We know that anti-Semitism, racism, and colonialism perpetuate inequalities, injustices, poverty, and exclusion in our society and our communities. With this awareness close to our bones, we commit ourselves to becoming an anti-racist, faith community dedicated to equality, racial justice, and right relations. I'm Eric Zern. I serve on the Board of Trustees here at UUCW. Today, as you might intuit from the opening song, we're talking about change, which seems rather on-point topic here as we're in the midst of a ministerial transition. But today's message is about change of a different kind, about changing culture within ourselves and our communities. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that and discussing it with you afterwards. We come together today from many places, from 3 neighboring congregations, some of us here in the sanctuary, and others in numerous living rooms and kitchens and coffee shops and cars and wherever you have Wi-Fi, I guess. To all of you online, while we can't see you, we feel your presence. Wherever you are right now, I say again, it is good to be together. So let's take a quick moment to acknowledge and see each other. How about the UUCW folks here today? If you're from UUCW, can you stand up or wave? I'll do both since I'm up here. Wow, look at that, no big surprise. Okay, so we are the hosts today, so it is our job, yours and mine, to welcome everyone else. So you all are officially deputized board greeters today. So we're going to share that. If you're here from Lake Country UU, could you stand or wave? Oh, nice, thank you, welcome. And people from United UU in Waukesha, could you do the same? Oh, wonderful. Welcome. And perhaps maybe you're new here today and don't identify with one of these 3 congregations. If you are and you're comfortable doing so, could you stand or wave? Just let us know you're new here. Look at that, terrific. Welcome, thank you very much. We have special instructions for you later on to make you feel comfortable, not singled out. All right, well, welcome again. It's been a wonderful thing to share our services this summer and begin to get to know one another better. This is the last Sunday of this grand summer experiment, which I think has been a wonderful success, and I hope you do as well. We look forward to continuing to deepen our relationships and connections. Later in the service, all of you joining us virtually will have an opportunity to participate in sharing joys and concerns by texting Reverend Julie. So here are a few other things to help you kind of settle in and feel at home this morning. If this is your first time here, so thank you for self-identifying there, please talk to me after the service, or you can send us an email at visitor@uucw.org, or use the welcome page on this yellow insert in the order of service. These forms can be dropped in the offering basket later as that comes around. And be sure to visit the newcomer table back in the community room after service. Speaking for myself, I find it a little intimidating to wade into a room of chatting people I don't know. So if you are new, that visitors table is a nice place to start off a conversation. After the story today, our children and youth will be invited to head off for their own time together. And of course, the nursery is open, and there's also the worship exploration table, and with some activities for those of you here in the sanctuary, so you feel free to make use of that. At any time during or after the service, if you're so moved, you can go to the side table and light a candle. You can also fill out the share side of this multi-purpose yellow form. And if there's something on your heart this morning that you're not ready to give voice to, so you let the wider community know that. There is coffee and tea following the service. You can take your pick of the community room, which tends to be a little noisy. There's a lot of chatter going on in there. So if quiet is more your thing, you're welcome to come back into the sanctuary or choose any of the other rooms in the building just for a quiet conversation. So please do stay and chat and socialize, and particularly those of you visiting today, we'd love to talk to you. So I'd also like to highlight a couple of announcements, which you can also find printed in your order of service. It is time to register for our fall programming for religious education, for children and youth, as well as for our small deepening groups for adults, including UU Wellspring, Soul Matters Covenant groups, and Beloved Conversations. These are really important and meaningful ways to deepen your faith and make lasting connections. You can check the e-news for more information on these programs. We're also hosting a screening of a new documentary, The Abortion Talks, on Thursday, August 31st. Now, registration's required for this, so again, e-news has the information on how to do that, or you can use the link in the printed announcements. You know, I tried pressing that link a couple of times, and I don't know, I was doing something wrong, but you'll figure it out. So folks from, on the Abortion Talks screening, folks from Waukesha and Hartland or elsewhere are very welcome to attend in person or online. We'd love to have you join for that film and discussion. So, now that we've welcomed each other, settled in, gotten caught up in everything, let us take a breath and turn our minds and hearts to worship.
These words, which I've adapted slightly and which I offer as a call to worship, were written by J. Wallen. Letting go. Are we a people of holding on or of letting go? Holding on to rigid ideas or letting go and opening our minds and our hearts to something new? Holding on to certainty of how things should be, or letting go and living with the uncertainty of new ways of being in the world. Holding on to what makes us comfortable, or letting go so that we may grow, which can be uncomfortable. Holding on to what makes us safe, or letting go to make room to help others feel safe. In a moment, we'll light our chalice, the symbol of our faith. Let it be a symbol of burning up the ties that hold us back from being our true selves and reaching our true potential. Let it be a symbol of lighting a new way for us into a better tomorrow. And let it be a symbol of letting go, because holding on too long and too tightly is never good for the soul. May we be open to letting go that new paths may open. Now let us light our chalice.
When Unitarian Universalists gather, we light a chalice. If you're joining us from home, you're invited to create a light there as a contribution to our sacred fire. Today's chalice lighting words are printed in the order of service. You might want to get that out. It's a responsive reading. And they were written by Cheryl Block. So please join me in reading them responsibly. In this sacred space, let us still be filled with quiet. In this sacred space, let our hearts open as butterflies' wings. In this sacred space, may the glow of this light shine within us.
It's a new wick.
Mm-hmm. Untested, untried.
Yes. There we go.
All right, and now Dave will lead us in story time. And if you'd like a better view for this, come on up front. There's plenty of room.
Good morning. I'm Dave Cicero, Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUCW. My pronouns are he and his. And today, I'll be reading, with permission of Scholastics Press, The Koala Who Could by Rachel Bright. In this book, we'll meet a bear who finds change hard to deal with, at least until it comes without any warning. So let's see how Kevin the koala deals with that. The koala who could. In a wonderful place, at the breaking of dawn, where the breezes were soft and the sunshine was warm, a place where the creatures ran wild and played free, a koala named Kevin clung to a tree. A nicer gray fellow you never would meet, as soft as a soft thing from ear tufts to feet. His favorite way to relax in the sun was to cling and to nap and to munch a leaf bun. He was terribly good at all of these three things. Yes, Kevin was king of the staying still kings. You see, high up was safe, since he liked a slow pace, while the ground down below seemed a frightening place. Too fast and too loud and too big and too strange. Nope, Kevin preferred not to move, nor to change. So he clung to his tree as he knew what to do, and was never too keen to try anything new. So when Wombat stopped by and shouted one day, "Hey, Kevin, why don't you come down here and play?" I think," he replied, "I should stay on my plant. I'm busy right now. No, I'm sorry, I can't." "Why not?" cried the ruse, with a super loud cheer. "Yes, why?" called the dingoes. "There's nothing to fear." But Kevin, who wasn't the do things quick sort, said, "I've cleaning to do, but thanks for the thought." As Kevin sat watching them chatter and share, a part of him wished he could join in down there, but he knew he'd miss home. In the dark and the late, the whole thing was risky. Adventure could wait. Whatever the invite, he'd always say no. Oh dear, it seemed Kevin just couldn't let go. So his life was the same, no matter the day. The weeks came and went, and the months rolled away. And Kevin stayed still while the world moved around until he awoke to a worrying sound. Tap, tap, the sound went. Well, this was a blow. Tap, tappity tap, 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 tap. Oh no. "Uncling," the crowd called, which had gathered below. "Leap, and we'll catch you. Just let yourself go." Kevin was scared. "Let go? No, I shan't. I won't," clung on Kevin. "Oh dear, I just can't." "True enough," said the king, "just think of that." And whomp, down came the tree with a cracking and pinging, crash and a wallop, with Kevin still clinging. Kevin, he carefully opened one eye and looked up at the love staring down from the sky. Then one claw by one claw, he slowly unclung his hold. He felt springy and light and happy and bold. Now the worst he could think of had now come to pass, and he was just fine. Why, he felt quite first class. So when Wombat held out a most welcoming paw, Kevin, he didn't hold back anymore. When Dingo asked, "Will you come out to play?" the crowd all joined in with a "What do you say?" And even though this wasn't part of the plan, Kevin replied, "Yes, I think that I can." And Kevin, from then on, was always can do, because life can be great when you try something new. So it can be difficult to admit our fears and worries. Even harder sometimes to seek out help in handling them. Have you ever knew, like deep inside, that you just needed to make a change, but found it too hard to even think about, much less deal with? Try to remember a time when something big in your life changed without any warning. I'm guessing you got through it, even if it took a while. Now here, as Kevin here found out, change can be scary, but it can also bring new and wonderful experiences. So today, children attending Summer RE will enjoy UU Play, collaborative games chosen from a list led by the participants themselves. And now I invite you to join in singing together our first hymn, number 131, in the gray hymnal, Love Will Guide Us. Now before the final verse begins, I'll light the RE lantern and start towards the sanctuary doors. And I invite any elementary and middle school age students wanting to join the others to follow me out at that time. So please rise in body and or spirit to sing number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from grief to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can hear from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace inside us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from grief to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Love will guide us. Love is at the center of this faith, and love will guide our congregations to opening our doors wide that we might offer nourishment and shelter and friendship to all. This prayer for this church, for all of our congregations, was written by Nancy Schaefer. Perhaps you'd like to close your eyes and quiet your breath and just listen. Prayer for this church. May each one among us have skin that longs to touch other skin, fingertips that long for other fingertips, or whole hands, or even arms, bodies that want to stand next to other bodies, not alone, while singing and bending, stirring soup. May ones whose skin doesn't cry out for other skin wish it did, and so teach it, so that no one stands alone and no one aches and does not say so. May our doors be so open it is drafty inside, and people sometimes shout because noises without come also within. May those sheltered here sometimes cry all at once, letting tear water clean what words by themselves cannot. In silent times, may everyone present hear everyone else breathing and know this is not separate from how the world breathes all night. May we always have enough room for those many who want to come in. May those who cherish this church be so glad they cannot stop speaking, stop asking. And may that crowding itself be a gladness, so we keep adding rooms. May we notice each one who is new and invite her to stay. May our list of names for the holy not ever be finished. And may we hear God chuckling with us as we find still more. sharing of joys and sorrows and gratitudes that touch our individual lives. Another way to express and experience the many ways that we are part of each other. In a moment, and this invitation is for each of you, whether you're familiar here, whether you know many people, it's for each. You'll be invited to come to the mic to share aloud. If you're online, again, and you'd like me to light a candle for you, please send me a text. Or if you'd rather share less publicly, once again, you can use the QR code on the order of service or the share side of the yellow form to put something in writing. Of course, at any time during the week, those of you who get our e-news can use that to let us know what's on your heart. And know that what's shared here now is only for the ears of those gathered now. It won't be posted in the video of the service or shared in our e-news unless you put it in writing asking for that. So now come to the mic to speak, or raise your hand and an usher will bring you a microphone. I'll light a candle for you, and after each sharing, I invite you all to respond with me. We hold you in love. You can just come and form a line to either side if that's needed, and pass the mic to one another. So come. I also want to light a candle for our planet and for the heat and for all the fires burning everywhere, particularly Maui and British Columbia and Yellowknife, and I know the list can go on. And this is a candle that all beings find safety and home. And another candle, just in recognition that this week on August 23rd is the International Day for the Remembrance of the Abolition of the Slave Trade. It's a powerful anniversary to remember, knowing that it's not 100% done in so many ways, but may we all continue to work for the abolition of slavery. And I'm just going to check my phone. Nope, I don't see any texts. So I'll light a candle for everyone online. Just want you to know that we know you're out there. We love you. This candle's for you. And finally, one more to represent all that's held in our hearts. I know we're not always ready to share it. Some of us might think it's not important to share. It's not a big enough deal. Whatever, we're not ready to share it because it's so painful. This candle is for all of us and for all the things that we carry in our life and for the beauty of community that helps us to hold that. Just hold a moment of silence as we hold all of this in our hearts. Open My Heart is a beautiful round written by Henry S. Fleury. It's number 1013 in the teal hymnal, but we're also going to put the words on the screen. Kaleidoscope's going to help us learn it, for those of us who don't know it, by singing it through a few times. And, let's do it this way. They're going to start singing. Please sing along as you can, and that will help you to learn it. And then we're going to break into a round and just watch me. The one part will start, and those of you on this side of the room will follow me. So here we go. Open your heart. And please rise if that's comfortable to you, or you remain seated if that's better.
True
Good morning. It's a curious thing that opening our hearts is often accompanied by fear. Fear of change, of the unknown, of each other. Reverend Meg Barnhouse wrote this piece, Speaking to the Locks, and I'd like to share these excerpts with you. Our locks tell us a lot about our lives. Locks of all kinds hold my attention because of a dream I had when I was 13. In the dream, a gray-haired woman in a white coat sat behind a desk. I knew she was me far in the future. In another dream, I saw a photograph of the same woman in a newspaper clipping. The caption below her picture is all I remember. In bold type, it read, "Speaking to the Locks." I woke up knowing what I was supposed to do with my life. I was going to speak to the locks. The phrase has been my guide over the years. Its meaning continues to become clearer as the years go by. At a party once, I was telling a friend about Ike's, a restaurant in a neighborhood by the railroad tracks. From the outside, it looks like a dive. But inside, you might see the mayor, construction work crews, college professors, and bikers with jailhouse tattoos. You would also see black and white and Hispanic people, a mix you don't see many places around here. My friend jumped in. I know just where that neighborhood is. My mother used to make us lock the car doors when we drove through there, and she would step on the gas to get through fast. He grinned. We were supposed to lock the doors by sneaking our finger up to the button and pressing it down gently so it didn't make noise and wouldn't hurt their feelings. I think about the new road in the middle of town, a 4-lane connector with a fine swooping curve and a great view of downtown. The new road barely touches a neighborhood that had a bad reputation in the 40s and 50s. I still know someone who reaches stealthily to lock the car doors when they turn onto that road. What do people think is going to happen? Some wild-eyed person might charge their rolling car, wrench the door open, and do unspeakable things? In my old suburban neighborhood, I was street captain one year, which meant I had to go door to door collecting dues. I'd ring the doorbell, and in a minute, I heard locks being unlocked from the inside, sometimes 2 or 3 of them. People cracked open the door, enough to look out fearfully with one eye. My friend Jake lives in a downtown neighborhood that is bad by anyone's standards. He sees a couple of crack houses from his front yard. Yet he told me that on several occasions he has gone camping and left the front door open for 24 hours. Open like unlocked, I asked. No, he said, standing wide open. Here's what I'm thinking. We're scared of the wrong things. We lock our car doors and take our kids home to where the guns are. We don't let our neighbors into our lives, so there's no one there to turn to when we're in trouble. We're scared of people, and we don't want to know them, but we don't want to hurt their feelings. Isolation is greatly to be feared, but our fears keep us alone. Ignorance is greatly to be feared, but our fears keep us at home, associating only with people of our same nationality, class, and color. Our fears keep us from bending, growing, changing in supple ways. Our fears lock us down into a narrowness of experience that sucks the marrow from our bones and leaves us dried up husks in safe homes with satisfactory retirement funds. Yeah, we're scared of all the wrong things.
My words today are excerpted from a much longer lecture delivered in May to the Canadian Unitarian Council. It wasn't easy to cut 2/3 of what I said then. On the cutting room floor lay many of the deeply relational and self-disclosing parts about my own whiteness, about the challenges of undoing white supremacy, and about covenanting with one another to do hard work. And I think that what I have to say today suffers because of these omissions. Enough said. When I was in high school, I had a poster on my bedroom wall that said, "Storms of love are gathering. The day of peace will be." Its hopeful message for me was that for there to be peace and justice, a storm had to happen, an extreme change of weather, a transformation. You see, I believe we're all called to gather the power of love into a veritable storm. Storm clouds of love must gather if beloved community for all can be. So here's my premise. As Unitarian Universalists, we cling to a lot of ideas about who we are. Open-minded, open-hearted, justice-seeking, welcoming, loving. Yet there are many, too many, who have come in our doors and, well, have found that it is not all that. And I believe that our very well-intentioned and aspirational desire to be open-minded and open-hearted is not yet reflected in our UU culture or in our behaviors. Not yet. Which means that on a practical level, the figurative doors to our spaces, our communities, and our congregations are more likely closed than open. Indeed, sometimes it's our belief that we are open, it is our belief that we are open-minded that inadvertently shuts those doors. It may just be that our belief that we're so darned open makes it hard for us to see when we are not. And I would posit that our issues, interpersonally, societally, globally, are rooted in our as yet unfully evolved ability to truly love our neighbor as ourself, to prioritize the well-being of all over our personal needs, to respect one another in a pluralistic, interconnected web, basically to offer open-hearted and generous hospitality to each other. You know, it sounds simple to throw open our minds and our doors. And yes, the message is simple, but the proof of its difficulty is that we still haven't mastered it. And this means that there's a disconnect between who we, UUs, say we are and who we are sometimes experienced to be. Since belonging and connection are among the greatest needs of every human being, if we were truly radically inclusive, I dare say that we would be growing and have a powerful voice on the public stage, offering both our liberating message and a spiritual home to anyone who would join us. Now, of course, we likely understand that what we say about who we are is more aspirational than an expression of reality. Yet we also believe we're further along that continuum than we actually are. We think we're more open-minded than we are. We think we're more welcoming and inclusive than we are. We share loving examples of our kind of fish who like our kind of water. And we choose not to hear or to believe the voices of those who have not experienced that same kind of welcome. Now, while what happens in most UU coffee hours, a sacrament of this faith, does not capture the gravitas of what I want to say here, it is an indication of a pattern. Now imagine yourself at your congregation's coffee hour. If you're someone who likes to talk, is comfortable doing so, likes coffee, and who can gather there with friends and shoot the breeze or to talk about congregational stuff or sports or whatever, chances are that you don't even notice those who don't make a beeline for the fellowship hall. You don't see those who are standing at the periphery. And if you're the person for whom coffee time is not so easy, I feel your pain. I have sometimes been that person standing at the edges where any sense of belonging escapes one. So why do we keep doing it the way we do? Why do we keep inviting people to stay and get to know us when it's possible they'll have a bad experience? Does coffee time help or hinder the building of beloved community? I venture to say we do it because it's how we do things. And change is hard, especially when it means we have to change. It's not inclusion if you're inviting people into a space you're unwilling to change. Now, letting go of doing it our way, those things that we just want to stick to, letting go is hard. It's maybe the hardest kind of change because when we love something, the way that we love this faith, we give our all to it, our time, our talent, our treasure. And the problem is that we can make of it kind of a golden calf, something that we imagine to be permanent and unchanging. And we polish it, we hold it up there as the way. And soon we find ourselves investing in keeping it that way rather than allowing it to evolve or recreate itself into something new. Do you know about sunk cost theory? Here's an example. A few months ago, as many of you know, the transmission went out on my 2009 Toyota. Now, I had religiously tended to that car. I'd planned to drive it into my grave, and it had kind of become part of the picture of who I was in the world. Not materialistic, willing to do with what I had, no bells and whistles. It was kind of an image that I polished and held dear. But then I was blindsided by a failure, meaning my car needed repairs far exceeding its value. Still, my strong inclination was to go ahead with the repairs because, well, that would keep me on my chosen path. Now, had I done that, that would have been an example of sunk cost theory. Every change involves loss, and we do everything we possibly can to avoid losing things, be that possessions, relationships, status, face, life as we know it. We tend to continue to invest in holding on to something that used to be good, even when that thing has become irrelevant, even when letting go may be the better option. Change is hard because people overestimate the value of what they have and underestimate the value of what they gain by giving that up. Now, I've been thinking a lot about change theory. I mean, who doesn't really? And about how modern day change theory runs counter to that biblical story of Saul on the Damascus road, where he was struck by lightning and fell off his ride and was completely changed, so much so that he had to change his name to Paul. If you don't know that story, yep, it's that Paul, St. Paul. Raised fundamentalist Baptist, my default is to imagine lightning strikes as the only true kind of spiritual experience or change, transformation overnight. If I could just have the perfect kind of encounter where I was open and receptive to a message, and the message was simultaneously perfectly keyed to my wavelength, then I could have that kind of experience, sudden, miraculous, and I'd be different and better. But that's not how change happens, not usually. We're most often changed over time with repeated messaging. Sometimes we may get a whiff of that kind of aha moment, but mostly there's an imperceivable movement, a slight shift. And change also depends on the source of those messages, how they're communicated, and also on our own receptivity. Because we're most often changed by those who are closest to us on any continuum. Those at the far ends really can have very little influence or impact on people far away from them on whatever spectrum you're talking about. We're most receptive to those who are most like us. Likewise, we have the most impact on those nearest to us, those who are most like us. Each of us is a messenger and each is a receptor, and we can choose which message to share and which to receive. Now, one of the questions I've been exploring when looking at models of change is about where and how our desire to be changed influences what happens. When is it that we are ready and willing to be changed? You know, it's one thing to be in a situation where everyone wants to go in the same direction. And it's quite another when we're unaware of how stuck we are, or when we're actively resisting and unwilling to be changed. And to complicate things further, most of the time our reaction to any suggestion that we should change is to hear that as a voice of judgment, telling us that we're not good people. And so we get defensive and judge ourselves as inadequate, and we close down further. Now, Meister Eckhart said, "Be willing to be a beginner each and every morning." I wonder what it would look like to go through life with beginner's mind, to really understand that not knowing is the highest kind of knowledge, even about things that might unsettle our worldview or shake up our way of being or force us to make changes that require hard work. Because I think this is how we are right now, believing ourselves to be open-minded and radically welcoming, yet not there yet. How can we have an open mind about that? You know, it can be comforting to think that change will come eventually, slowly, with repeated messaging, to believe that we'll get there one day. But let's look at it a slightly another way. In calm weather, with no disruption, it's unlikely that we could ever be hit by lightning or have a conversion experience, let alone be inspired to even make a slight change in course, because that messaging simply doesn't get to us in calm weather when we're comfortable. Think of how often we hear that people connect with their UU communities and congregations because of being able to be with people who are like-minded. We continue to espouse open-hearted, radical welcome, yet we continue to attract and swim in a very limited pool of ideas and ways of being. And if they happen to come through our doors, those who might be a little different, who exhibit diversity in any form, well, the greater their difference in terms of life experience or education or opinion or ability or culture, the more uncomfortable it is for everybody, because there's this clash, this rubbing, because we're simply not practiced at being receptive to change and difference. It disrupts our sense of home. Change begins at the edge of our comfort zone. So what would it take for us to truly set an intention to be changed? We are liberals who say we're open-minded and inclusive. We say we want our communities to be more diverse. We want to be open to others. And yet we resist the changes, even resist experimenting with the changes that could get us there. And that resistance ignores those who have been waiting for us for a long, long time. It silences those who are waiting at the sidelines, at the periphery. It ensures their voices will not be heard. Our resistance continues to harm those who already rightfully claim this as their own faith community, but who may live, act, embody, think, speak, look in ways unfamiliar. And to resist their presence and contributions means that we lose those with whom we could live into a vision of a different world that's more inclusive and more loving. Without that intentionality, change simply comes too slowly and too late for too many. We gotta recognize that that if we truly are aspirational, if we truly want to realize the beloved community, that day of peace and justice, then something has got to change. A weather front must move in. We gotta release all this pent up resistance, and it's gonna rain and pour, and we are gonna get wet. But because we feel fearful or overwhelmed, we pull out our umbrellas, we duck into whatever shelters we can find, or we focus on some fake fight over language or pronouns or bylaws, or we actually make a very unfortunate choice for comfort or avoidance over change, responding with fear to what change is unearthing, and we dig in our heels. Yeah, I did just say the F word, fear. What could we possibly have to be afraid of? You know, any change threatens our sense of identity. It threatens our power. And yes, those who are white and able-bodied and normative have power. Change puts who we are and what we have given our lives to in question. And that loss of identity is a huge and palpable threat that results in anxiety and trepidation and discomfort and fear. Brene Brown has said, in the midst of change, people get scared, double down, and irrelevance almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. In other words, fear is our greatest enemy. So what a conundrum. We want to change in order to be more relevant. Change causes fear. Fear causes doubling down. Doubling down and holding on tightly leads to irrelevance. And as perhaps was true for Kevin in today's story, taking us toppling. So what if we could just acknowledge how scared we are? So much of our reactivity, our unkind words, our lack of flexibility is because we're afraid. We're afraid that there's no place for us in the new world. We're afraid we'll become irrelevant. And it's exhausting to be so defensive and fearful. But here's the thing, and I think this is the thing. If we don't respond to the current social and generational realities, if we don't do some changing, we will not survive. And if we don't, we won't be here to play a role in the transformation of the world, to take our place in the role that we have in building a beautiful community, a beloved community of interdependence and love and justice. So what if we could find a way to acknowledge our desire for calm weather, and then to answer, even in the face of knowing that, to answer the call to be truly open-minded and radically inclusive? If we were to do that, yes, there'd be a big storm, and we might get soaked, but it would be okay. Because we got towels, we do. We got indoor-outdoor skin, you know? I mean, it's okay. It could even be fun. I mean, what if we were actually embrace the call of change and exhale? Exhale all that we're holding on to and just allow those storm clouds of love to gather. I'm no expert on change, let alone on love. I can offer my voice and my willingness to be challenged and hopefully changed. I can practice and keep practicing love and open-heartedness and welcome. What I do know for sure, is that I can't do it alone. None of us can. As Reverend Ninan Soto has said, all of us need all of us to make it, to survive. All of us need all of us to make it. So fear not, really fear not. We can do hard things. We can get all wet and still survive. Opening our minds and opening our doors is sure to change us. There is no way that we can both help to build a better world and also keep things the way they are. Those two realities are completely incompatible. But I can assure you that our human ability to navigate change is not unprecedented. We can do it. And in the process, we can stop doing harm and start living more joyfully now into the radically inclusive relationality that is the beloved community. This, I believe, who we are and who we can be is going to surprise us. We've got each other, and if we can truly become radically inclusive, letting go of our individual desires for the good of the whole, letting go of our individual desires and grabbing onto the good of the whole, then we will have more each others, marching and praying and learning and singing together. Open-minded, alive, radical hospitality will surely bring surprising gifts and transformational change into our lives. I do wonder what it was like for Paul. He had been one particular known thing, just riding down the road on his donkey or whatever, and then he was suddenly somebody else. In a moment, he was changed. Was he all wobbly, disoriented, maybe resisting it, blaming it on the weather or on his horse? How did he feel? Did he feel new and beautiful energy entering his being? Whatever his experience, if we follow the trajectory of his story, that change led him to becoming one of the most powerful voices in the spread of his faith throughout the world. Change may be unwelcome. It may be surprising. It is inevitable. The question is, are we willing to be changed in service of a vision of true interdependence and love and justice? Will we be intentional participants in creating a faith known and truly experienced for our open minds and open doors? We can do this thing. And the time is now. It's up to you. It's up to all of us. May it ever be so. Amen. May we be open. May we be willing. Let's sing about that. Holly Near's people gave us permission to sing this song, and the words are printed in the order of service. Please rise in body and or spirit to sing.
Before us.
ways that UUCW helps to address human needs and advance social justice in our community is through the Split the Plate program. Since 1987, Our Space has been empowering individuals living with mental illness and substance abuse to achieve their full potential. They do this by providing recovery-oriented, person-centered services and programs in a safe and accepting environment. Here's a short video that includes some powerful testimonials for Our Space.
If God would have made anything better than Our Space, he would have kept it for himself.
We have a very good staff here. They really support us really well, and they make us feel better and more relaxed.
Our space provides supportive services for those living with chronic mental illness, living in supportive housing.
As a family, when we found out that she wanted to live here, I mean, we were all in.
I was on a collision course with death, where I was living in the streets. I didn't know what was wrong with me, so I tried to self-medicate with alcohol and drugs. I caught a break, and so I came to Our Space. I knew it was something good in here.
Generous donations from people like you would help Our Space continue providing a community of recovery for those living with chronic mental illness.
If you are participating virtually, please go to our website, uucw.org, click on Donate and select the Split the Plate option from the menu, or you can text or email your donation today using the information found here on the screen. I thank you for your generosity to Our Space. We will now gratefully receive your offering.
Watch the spark
As a capstone on today's message, I offer this poem written by Reverend Linda Susan Ulrich entitled Open Up the Doors. Open up the doors. Push on looming wooden arches embroidered with ironwork. Brace shoulders against the weight of history unmoved. Slough off the musty smell of unused joy and stored up sorrow. Knock rust off the hinges if you have to, and let your breath precede you inside. Open the doors more. Make room for a shaft of sunlight to cross the threshold. Give the dust motes something to dance about. Peek through a single slice of possibility and name even the half-hidden truths you see. Open the doors wider still. Pour yourself through the gap. Strut or sneak or sidle as suits you best. Cleanse whatever scrapes catch your skin and bind up the wounds that keep you from entering whole. Open the doors as far as they will go. Draw on the strength of the stones beneath you. Ground yourself in a firm sense of who you are. Stand as a beacon, welcoming the next seeker, and shine far beyond the lintel and sill. Open all that you are. Heighten and deepen your connections to the world around you. Broaden your definition of neighbor. Grow into the largest target for grace that you can muster, and pray to become a gateway for even greater love and compassion. Open up the doors, my friends, lest we keep the stranger out and condemn ourselves to prisons of our own making.
Indeed, we can open the doors and let love lead us. We can choose to let go and enjoy the changes before us. So let's sing about that. We're building a new way as 1017 in the Teal hymnal. So please join me on your feet or on your seat. Let's just sing. You know, after our closing words, Erica and I will move to the back of the room, and you're all invited to return to your seats and enjoy the postlude if you'd like. Here we are again at the end of another Sunday morning, feeling grateful to have been together, Feeling grateful for this summer of shared services and for getting to know each other. Let's say a silent word of thanks for all those who made today and this whole summer exchange possible, including the ushers, the greeters, the service leaders, the coffee makers, the music makers, everybody. It's been great. This time together matters. We've been changed, and together we can do hard things. As a benediction, I offer a reprise of some of Nancy Schaefer's words, Prayer for this Church. May each one among us long to stand next to other bodies, not alone, singing and bending and stirring soup, so that no one stands alone and no one aches. May our doors be so open that it's drafty inside, and people sometimes shout because noises without come also within. And may we also always have enough room for those who may want to come in. And may those who cherish each of our congregations be so glad that they cannot stop speaking, stop asking, and that the crowding itself be a gladness, so that we have to keep adding rooms. Fear not, my friends, because we are not alone. We can do hard things, and love will indeed guide us. Blessed be, Ashe, Amen.
As a closing hymn, we'd like to do Everybody In by Peter Mayer, and we'd like you guys to sing along if you can on the chorus. I thought the chorus was going to be printed in the order service, but it's not. So it's pretty simple. And this is a great song about who belongs in our inner circle and in our blessed community. So the words on the chorus are, let everybody in, everybody in, everybody into the circle, circle. Everybody, 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 everybody into the circle, circle. So I'd like you guys to sing that if you can. If you know the rest of it, you can sing along. Why don't we go through the chorus 2 times maybe, and you can join in when you feel comfortable before we start the song. So let
Everybody in, everybody in, everybody into the circle, circle. Everybody, 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 everybody into the circle, circle. Everybody in, everybody in, everybody into the circle, circle. Everybody, 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 everybody into the circle, circle.
That was awesome. You guys are great. All right. So just join in when you can.